lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with a few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. The Drive-In Theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Howdy, gang.
Hey, everybody.
What's going on? You tuned into the Drive-In Speakerbox, y'all. It's Monday night, man. You caught us right when we were trading pieces of gum here.
I'm doing like a Dr. Teeth voice over there.
Dr. Teeth. Hey, guys, we're going to play some music for you. Mm-hmm. Dr. Teeth, of course, the premier lead man of the Muppets band, if you're not familiar with your all things Muppets. Yeah, Dr. Teeth was awesome. Anyway, we're the Drive-In Speakerbox. I'm the boom operator.
I'm the grip.
And we're going to be talking to you about movies and all sorts of things regarding movies for the next hour and some change. We've got a fun show for you tonight. We have seen a lot of films over the past week. It was a holiday week. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Did everyone have a good one? Did you have a good one?
Not bad.
Yeah, did you eat all of the foods?
I ate some of the foods, yeah.
Some of them, but not all of them.
I saw, though, your post on, was it on our Instagram?
Our Drive-In Speakerbox Instagram, yeah. So in lieu of Thanksgiving is one of those holidays that for many, many years, I don't have a huge family, but my very immediate family would always go out of town, and I would stay because I was always busy with work or whatever. So I got kind of used to not like eating turkey and stuffing and cranberry sauce and mashed potatoes, gravies and sweet potato pie. And it's just like it was one of the days of the year that I just like. My phone didn't ring, and I just sit at home and watch TV, and it was wonderful. And this year, I kind of brought my family into that tradition with me, and I was like, we're not cooking this year. We're going to the movies. And they're like, okay, what are we going to go see? And I was like, I don't know. Let's see Knives Out. You'd like that? And they're like, yeah, let's see Knives Out. And I go, in lieu of dinner, I'm just going to buy everything on the menu at the concession stand, and we're going to have a concession stand Thanksgiving. I had $30 in AMC, like rewards, A-list points, and I cashed it in and still spent $75 at the concession stand. And
because movie food ain't cheap.
But I
should have
had
snuck in Thanksgiving dinner like we did last year.
I know. But this was Thanksgiving dinner movie style. I had chicken tendies, I had curly fries, I had chili dogs, I had corn dog bites, I had chicken spicy tacos, I had movie nachos, I had the 1.5 pound Bavarian Legend pretzel with double dipping sauce, cheese, and mustard. I also had, guess what, get it at it, popcorns. I had everything that you want to have at the movies. I bought it, and I was like, give me some of that. I had mozzarella sticks. I had 2 orders of mozzarella sticks. I had all of it. We had movie food leftovers. Like it was
did you
like
hit
that.
The bar and get like the cocktails and
nah,
stuff
dude,
like that too?
nah. We hit the bar before we went to the movie. Are you crazy?
Well,
Are you crazy? No.
I'll spend $10 on corn dog bites, but
not $20 on a shot of Patron. No, but here's the thing: we had people going, "Hey, why don't you do a YouTube channel where you talk about movie theater stuff?" And I was like, "You mean like the Drive-In Speakerbox?" And they're like, "No, but about like the food and stuff." And I was like, "Oh, we do.
Yeah, quite a bit.
We already do." But I will say this: if you want to, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of AMC food because I've had it all. You guys, I've had every bit of it, and Vince over on YouTube in the comments, he's like, still haven't pooped and haven't stopped pooping all at the same time about movie theater food. But I'm gonna give you the ups and downs of AMC. Most AMC theaters tend to have the same menu. I'm gonna tell you right now, the cheeseburger sliders. Don't waste your time. Not that good. Pretty vanilla. The fried chicken sliders.
Cheeseburger sliders taste like vanilla. gross.
Yeah, they're grody. But the fried chicken sliders, there's only 2 for $8.99. 2 sliders, $8.99. Not such a good deal. Avoid the sliders. The mac and cheese, the bacon mac and cheese, the original mac and cheese, and I think there's a third mac and cheese. I had the bacon mac and cheese before. Not that good for the price, the serving that you get, the flavors there. It's fun. It's mac and cheese. Who doesn't like mac and cheese? But for the value, you're not really getting it. Mac and cheese bites, on the other hand, that's the better deal. That's the play. You get more bites, more mac and cheese per dollar amount, just like the corn dog bites. You think that the hot dog is going to be the better value because, ooh, hot dog, everybody likes that. You get to pick 2 toppings. I'm a chili cheese guy. Some people like to get the spicy hot Cheetos and then the jalapenos. Those people are broken and wrong. Don't get it, because the spicy hot Cheetos have been open for a while. They're going to be stale. They're not going to be fresh. They're not going to be crispy. Go for the corn dog bites. They're encapsulated in batter so that way they're not stale. They're fresh every time they hit the fryer. You get, if you think about it, for $7.99, you get, I think it's like 10 or 12 corn dog bites. That's like 2.5 hot dogs. For $6.99, you get 1 hot dog. Get out of here.
Is this a game where you play how much of this you can eat and still be able to make it through the movie before you're like...
Have dysentery?
Yeah.
Yes. But other things, mozzarella sticks at AMC, great deal. You get tons of mozzarella sticks, more than you can eat, for like $6.99, great deal. But the spicy chicken tacos, kind of a gamble. You really have to be into them. Sometimes it's hit or miss, but you do get a lot for your money. I like getting the Tapatio because they have it in the little ketchup packs. Pour it on the spicy chicken tacos. Game over, dude. It's delicious. We've got some comments coming in saying that the video is freezing a little bit. We are aware of this, but the audio's still there. Close your eyes. Make believe you're still with us. You're still with us. Use your imagination, Peter. It's December. There's Hennessy in that. Yes, it's a Burger King cup filled with Coke Zero, but also Hennessy. What other things that are worth getting that are not? Let's see what the Bavarian Legend is a $14.99 pretzel. We're going to talk about that. Over in the comment section, Johnny Dalton says theaters with toilet seating will be the next big craze. Just shit while you watch. Just go ahead, hook up the Kathy, and just suck it on down. I will say that the Bavarian Legend is a really big hit or miss. If you are hungry, if you're with more than one person, the Bavarian Legend is a lot of fun. Comes in a pizza box. It's a giant, hilarious pretzel, but you have to like bread. You have to like maybe some artificial cheese dipping sauce, maybe some mustard. It is worth it. It's fun. It is $15. A little ridiculous, but ridiculous is a part of the play. Like if you're willing to tongue in cheek your meal, you can do it. Good times. The pretzel bites, on the other hand, that's a big gamble. I've had really good ones. I've also had terrible ones. I tend to avoid them.
You know what's really baller, talking about pretzels? Those like vegan chocolate dipped pretzels that aren't pretzels but instead are like toffee.
They used to be good.
They're pretty good, man.
They used to be better.
Because it's toffee, not pretzels.
Toffee pretzels?
Yeah.
You know, they need an Annie Ann's in all these theaters, because talk about pretzels. Get out of here. Those are delicious.
Johnny says that he has a Pizza Hut in his movie theater.
And their Cinemark? Man, look at that. The convergence of brands. Is Cinemark owned by Yum Brands or PepsiCo?
Maybe there's a movie theater out there where you can get a double down KFC.
Oh, my God. Take me home, Jesus. Sounds delicious. Anyway, we could go on and on and on about movie food, but we saw some movies this weekend we're going to be talking about later in the show. We're going to be talking about the Galaxy Quest documentary, Never Surrender. Never Surrender. I think No Retreat, No Surrender, which is a movie that everyone should watch and also regret watching. But then we're also going to be talking about Jojo Rabbit, which is in theaters, very kind of limited release right now. Probably not going to make it another weekend. And then we're going to be talking about Knives Out, which is the new Rian Johnson film that's in theaters currently, with Daniel Craig with the weird southern British weird who done
what was that? What was the movie? The heist movie though, with old Daniel Craig, and he did the southern voice.
Are you talking about Logan Lucky?
Yeah.
That was a Soderbergh movie, I believe.
So he can pull off stuff like that.
He can do it. But we're going to be talking about those movies later in the program. Right now, let's talk a little bit about news. Not a whole lot of news to be talked about because we have a whole lot of movies to review. New season of Curb Your Enthusiasm's been teased by HBO, but whatever. I've been kind of over it for a couple of seasons. I think we talked about this last week, but Godzilla vs. Kong has been delayed for almost 8 months. It's getting pushed back. If you were tuned into previous episodes of the Drive-In Speakerbox, you will discover that I was right about The Mandalorian, and the Baby Yoda monster machine is continuing to grow. The toys are starting to hit theaters, just like I predicted. And the plot of the show still hasn't progressed anywhere, just like I predicted. And
I like how you're like, all of these easily foreseeable things occurred.
But everybody says that we're dumb. They're like, how do you guys even know? You're wrong. You're wrong, Grip. You're wrong, Boom Operator. You don't know nothing. You've only been doing this show for over a decade. You've been doing podcasts before podcasts were even podcasts. What do you know about shit? And it turns out we know all the things. So deal with it. In other news, Frozen making all the money like we also predicted. So big surprise there. Man, I don't know. Most of the news is everybody's getting excited and rearing up for the new Star Wars movie that's coming out on December 20th. Not this weekend, but the weekend after next, something like that. Yeah. It's coming up.
So right now I have to address that I am wearing a Star Wars shirt, but that's because Jojo Rabbit, not because actually Star Wars.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about
because Nazis.
Mm-hmm. Space Nazis. What do we got in the comments here? Vince says, the last few seasons of Curb have been very disappointing. Johnny Dalton says, wasn't there a King Kong RIP off in the 70s? Yes. Johnny Dalton says, let's see, how long have you been doing the show? Someone asked me, and I guessed about 10 years. The exact years of that I've been doing the Drive-In Speakerbox, I want to say the first episode of the Drive-In Speakerbox probably aired in 2004-ish. So what is that? What does that put it? 15 years? Yeah, so I've been doing the show about 15 years. It was there. I wasn't the boom operator then. I was the producer of the show. I created the show. And I procured the music for the show, and it was the Sound Master Positive and the Negative Cutter, and we did the show, and there was not really much talking at the time. It was all just sort of playing music, and I was sort of the brains behind that, and then we lost the Negative Cutter, and then it was me and Soundmaster Positive. That's when I became the boom operator. And then we started chit-chatting about movies. And the Soundmaster Positive is very much like the Grip. I know
super cool boy.
I know you've never met him in person, but you guys are really very similar, and I think that's why that we've had a return to form of the Drive-In Speakerbox since the Grip has come along. But after that, after we lost Soundmaster Positive, we had a couple of just sort of onesie twosies that came through, and then the Projectionist was there, and then we had who else was there? What was Phil's? What was his? He was the
Gaffer.
He was the Gaffer. Yeah, he was a long time with the Gaffer, and then we had the Storyboarder. Who was a co-host.
I was there pre-Storyboarder,
but you were just a guest host
for a long time.
The Projectionist was again a guest host. He kept coming in around the time. His name is Sean. He now lives in Indianapolis, and we've had a lot of hosts, but it's evolved over the years. So thank you for your question. Oh man, Jude, I didn't realize this is a prize cup. Oh man, I'm sitting here drinking my Coke Zero and Hennessy, and there's a play to win on this cup, and we're gonna pull it.
Go gift yourself, huh?
Enter to play. Enter this code on my beep. I don't want to enter a code. Screw that. If you guys want to enter this code and claim this prize, you can do so. The code is MT6R4CK2, and if it's $1 million, I get some. But if it's like free French fries, you're welcome. Anyway,
it's gonna be the biggest prize ever.
It's gonna be the Countach that you get to drive away from BK Las Vegas or whatever.
Yeah. Hey, no joke. We have a friend that won one of those Taco Bell Xbox. They we're giving away one every 5 seconds or whatever. He won one.
He won an
and it makes the Taco Bell noise instead of like the normal turn-on noises. Yeah.
What is the Taco Bell noise?
The dong, the Taco Bell.
The Taco Bell dong.
Yeah. That's what
Do
it's
you
called.
know the Taco Bell dong?
Yeah. That's what it's
Ladies. Anyway, all right. Well, not a whole lot of stuff in the news that isn't Star Wars related, so we're gonna just jump right into movies that are coming out in theaters this weekend because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. This weekend, not a whole lot of movies coming out because Disney has made sure to give a lot of breathing room to Frozen to make sure that it breaks records and does all the things that Disney contractually obligates movies that it makes to do. But we do have a couple of movies. We have the God Bless Its Soul, the Playmobil movie.
Hey, it has old Daniel Radcliffe in it, man.
Yeah. It does, and you know this movie, the Playmobil movie. God, the Lego movie happened, and we all saw it, and it made a lot of money. And then Lego Batman, and then
Batman was
the second Lego movie, and all of these Lego straight to DVD movies, and so Playmobil over here, much like Playmobil's been doing forever. I mean, I'm not gonna be surprised if a Lincoln Log movie hits theaters in 2021. But they were like, you know what? Let's do this too. And so they go, let's do a tongue-in-cheek adventure featuring famous celebrity voices doing wacky-go-lucky things as Playmobil toys in a universe built by your imaginations. And the premise is animated feature film inspired by Playmobil brand toys. That is literally the tagline. That's it. Yeah, it's getting panned on Metacritic. It has got a 25 Metascore, which again, I don't really care about those things, but I think it's pretty indicative of where this movie's going, and it's a product of our sort of if it makes money, make more of it mentality, which is a bad thing for us to be doing. I actually had a 3-hour meeting today with someone about the Cultural Arts Corridor here in Northwest Arkansas. Good meeting. And but we were talking about one of the things that I try to continue to press into people's freaking minds is just because something sounds good doesn't mean it's a good idea. Baby Yoda. And I actually made this correlation when we were talking about a very serious, I think it's a $200 million project here in our city. And I was like, you familiar with Baby Yoda? And they go, oh, yes, Baby Yoda's so cute. I love Baby Yoda. And I go, yeah, Baby Yoda is cute. But you know what? The Mandalorian sucks dick. And they're like, what? But Baby Yoda's cute. And I go, yes, Baby Yoda's cute, but the Mandalorian is trash. And they're like, well, what do you... And you could see the gears turning, and I go, this arts corridor is a good idea, but the arts corridor plan is trash. And one can be garbage and the other one can be good if we separate our just gut reactions to going, yes, I like pizza. Do I want to be covered in pizza forever with a pizza corner every street that I drive on? Pizza forever, pizza, and die from pizza? No. Does that make pizza bad? No, it doesn't. It just means pizza's good in this situation. Let's not get ahead of ourselves and let's slow the fuck down and acknowledge that Baby Yoda's cute, but is also the stupidest thing that they've ever done in the Star Wars universe. Can we all agree? I know we're not gonna, but
There's been a lot of stupid things.
Playmobil. That's a product of this thinking, you guys. Playmobil the movie. You know they spent millions of dollars on this. And they're not going to make it back. They're not. And they thought they would. They thought, certainly, if Lego can do it, Playmobil can do it. No. They're going to lose this. And, yeah, I mean, guys, haven't you been listening to the Driving Speakerbox for 15 years? Haven't I said it enough? Playmobil, you're the reason.
Just shaking booze at people.
Yes, I'm going to shake booze at people until they understand. Johnny Dalton over here saying GoBots movie.
Made by Uwe Boll is what he said.
I know. Do we need it? No.
I don't know.
Do we want it? Probably not. Are we going to get it? Of course. Man, anyway. Let's see. Vit says, dude, you have to jump through so many hoops to enter that code. Did you try to enter my BK code? Oh, bless up, you guys, for trying to win my Lamborghini, my Burger King Lamborghini. Anyway, Playmobil's coming out. Also coming out in theaters from director Todd Harper with Felicity Jones and Eddie Redmayne. We have the Aeronauts movie. Guess what? You've probably not heard about it because they have not been spending much money on getting the word out. But it's pilot Amelia Rands and scientist James Glacier. They find themselves in an epic fight for survival while attempting to make discoveries in a gas balloon. This movie is not going to go anywhere.
Wow, you're just hating on these Harry Potter boys real hard.
Eddie Redmayne is fine. There's nothing wrong with Eddie Redmayne. I'm telling you, no one's going to see this movie because it's December and Frozen's out. And Star Wars comes out in like 2 weeks. And The Mandalorian's on Disney Plus. And this is stupid. Also coming out, this movie actually looks pretty good. It's from director Celine Sciamma. It's called Portrait of a Lady on Fire. It's about an isolated island in Brittany at the end of the 18th century. A female painter is obliged to paint a wedding portrait of a young woman. And guess what? They're lesbians, and they fall in love, and they fight the patriarchy and the antiquated ways of the world. And it's artistic, and it's beautiful, and it's on fire. And it actually looks really good. I think you're not going to get it anywhere around you because it's challenging, and you're just going to get another theater of 3D Frozen in Limax. But Portrait of a Lady on Fire looks pretty damn good, but you won't see it. So it'll be at a theater in only like 800 cities, and that's about it. That's all that's coming out. You're just going to get more Frozen. You're going to get more Knives Out. You're going to get more Queen and Slim, which is okay. You're going to get you're just going to get a more of the money, more of the money. So there you go. That's what's coming out in theaters this weekend at a theater near you. Grip?
Yeah.
Anything to add?
I mean, what do you say to that?
I don't know.
Frozen's what's out.
So here we go.
It makes too much money. There's not going to be anything else.
Good segue. There's always an opportunity for a good segue here. Speaking of movies that are probably better than you think they're going to be, but you're never going to see them. Galaxy Quest. Let's talk about that because we went and saw the Galaxy Quest documentary made by what was it was
the people that do another YouTube channel.
They do is it Film Rant or is it Screen Junkies?
Yeah,
it's Screen Junkies.
Yeah.
They do the honest trailers. And shout outs to those guys. If you like and subscribe to Screen Junkies, like and subscribe to Drive-In Speakerbox. Because we need those likes and those subscribes. Drive-In Speakerbox, youtube.com, facebook.com/The Drive-In Speakerbox. Like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. Spotify, YouTube, Google Music, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Tuned In, Last FM, Foursquare, Yelp, whatever you need to do, just get on there. Galaxy Quest. This was a documentary about a movie that we both love, and it's funny because they open this entire documentary saying that Galaxy Quest is in the top 5 best Star Trek movies ever made, and it's not a Star Trek movie. Take it away, Grip.
Oh, what? Oh, from there. I mean, I'm inclined to agree with that. You know, it's not. But they do have a guy that goes through and he talks about every Star Trek movie and ranks it where he thinks it should be because he's a big nerd man. And, you know, it's definitely not as good as Star Trek 6 or First Contact. But
where does it stack up against the whale one?
Star Trek 4? Dude, I don't know. Star Trek 4 is pretty baller because they go back in time and they say double dumbass on you. And
they do say that.
And he pinches annoying people on the bus, and he communicates with whales, and they make transparent. Star Trek 4 is pretty good.
All right.
I don't know. But, wow, see, Johnny's saying Nemesis at the bottom, too. Everyone hates on Nemesis, but Nemesis is a pretty sweet movie. Has old Tom Hardy.
It does have Tom Hardy in it.
Yeah, has a young Patrick Stewart. Kind of weird.
Forgot about that. That was a little weird.
And they murk Data.
You can't mark Data.
Yeah, well, that's why he just comes
They
back to life
interviewed
through
him.
B4.
They interviewed him.
Yeah,
in
Brent
this galaxy.
Spiner's in the documentary.
Documentary.
But the documentary, were making an honest trailer about Galaxy Quest, and like, you know what? We all love Galaxy Quest. Let's make like a full-blown documentary about it, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
And they talked to producers and the director
and fans,
the screenwriter, and yeah, they talked to a lot of big time nerds that are obsessed with this movie, and they talked to the stars of the movie. Sigourney Weaver talked quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
One of the stars,
Tony
one of the
Shalhoub.
other movies we watched, Sam Rockwell.
And Sam Rockwell.
They talked to him, and they interviewed old Will Wheaton, because
and Tim Allen.
If there's anything involved with anything
not letting go of Star
sci-fi,
Trek, it's Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton's around. Yeah. But it was really good, and it was really insightful about the movie making process. A lot of things that we talked to you guys about, the trials of getting a movie made.
And again, just because something contextually is amazing and beautiful and perfect and seems good on paper does not necessarily always translate to being a successful product.
Yeah, and they go into like the importance of producers that are willing to
take risks.
Yeah, do that and actually support what they've put their money and time into, and stand up to studios and things like that. So it more than anything else, it was kind of like the story of how hard it is to make a movie when you really believe in what you have as a film.
Well, very much like Terry Gilliam, who is one of my favorite directors, and this falls into a lot of his projects, is he believes in something so strongly, tries to get something made, but people are just like, nah. But when he's left to his own devices, we get American classics. And Galaxy Quest was one of those things that when they made it, they're like, we did it. And then no one saw it. And it wasn't financially successful. But then it managed to withstand the test of time. And people are like, dude, this movie's perfect.
They go through it and they say during its theatrical run, it made it turned a profit.
Some money.
Yeah, but it took a while to do it.
But it would never be appreciated today. It would have been panned by critics today in the age of the internet. Like in 1999, you couldn't get on your cell phone, tweet about something, and then it be on Variety.com or Huffington Post as top flops of the doo-doo bops, and everybody's like, yeah, Metascore, and then it just spirals out of control. Back then it was a little more of an organic process, and it managed to survive. Whereas today it would be immediately cast out as just, in its opening weekend it cost $60 million and it only made $59 million. What a fucking disaster, you guys. And they would have thrown their hands up and they would have never looked back, and they would have not even made it into DVD, and it would have just been buried and just buried forever. And then in 20 years, when nerds like us are just like, oh man, that was awesome, they'd go, we need to do a remake starring Vin Diesel, and it would have been, whatever. Going back to the comments really quick, no, we did not get a chance to catch the limited Twilight Zone film. I wanted to do it, but I had to work that night. Vince says he needed a version with Tim Allen edited out. You are wrong, sir. Yeah. Tim Allen was
kind of the best part of the movie.
Was the appropriate choice for that role, even though I think Tim Allen
They go into that. They go into all of that in this documentary, and about how him and Alan Rickman butted heads, but then eventually kind of saw how each other operated and got along great.
It was very meta. I mean, a lot of them talk about how meta the movie was.
Because all of the actors portraying these actors were doing how they were as actors. And especially like Sam Rockwell.
Oh yes, perfect example there. But it was a really interesting look at not just as a person who's a fan of the film, but a person that's a fan of films.
Yeah.
And you can look at this as a window into a time of movie making that is dying so rapidly.
Practical effects.
Going back to, you had, what was it, Rick Baker Studio sitting there, and now Rick Baker's, he's usually the last to get called when the CGI, they're like, well, let's get some practical effects, but if we could just get it done in a Korean sweatshop with a bunch of coders doing CGI, that's what they're going to do. and because they're trying to save money.
Who they had making the ship and all that.
And
they had Stan Winston do.
They had
monsters and aliens.
They had all this stuff, but most people just want to shop it out. They want to shop it out, and when the product gets bad at the end, they're like, well, why does it not have soul? Why does it not have passion? It's because that takes risks. That takes not just going through the easy route every single time. It's kind of like, you remember when the Universal Studios tried to resurrect the Wolfman, and then they went to Rick Baker's studio and they're like, hey, you did this, you guys, you're the Werewolf Kings.
Yeah, they're like, could you put some nards on the Wolfman?
And they're like, yeah, let's do this. And then they're like, well, this is taking too long, and this is, I don't know, can't we just like CGI it a little bit? And they go, well, no, we can't, because that's not really how this works. If you want this to look amazing, give us some time. We have to sculpt these things with our freaking hands, dude. And they're like, nah, we're gonna polish it up with computers real quick, and your opinion doesn't matter. And then they clashed, and then it looked awful, and then fans noticed, and they go, this looks cheap. And then they discredited it in the movie, because the Wolfman movies have always been about watching the transformations. That's the best part. Like, it's a story about puberty. It's a story about masculine, uncontrolled masculinity and toxic masculinity. Like, if you want to get really into the literary breakdown of what the Wolfman is, it gets really, really heady. But it's always been leaned upon special effects.
You talking about the one with Benicio del Toro?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that one was bad.
Yes, and it should have been good.
The best part of Teen Wolf is when they're surfing on top of the van.
We're not talking about Teen Wolf.
You said Wolfman movies, and
that's
best part of all
that's
of
about
them,
puberty.
Yeah.
Again, like the Wolfman story.
The house party with chubs and jello boobies and surfing on the van.
And 7 Minutes of Heaven with Boof.
No, well, that was part of the house party scene. But also, give me the beer now. Yeah. No. Yeah, like that. Yeah.
So again, the Wolfman story is about puberty. It's
and
about
basketball.
Raging hormones. It's about uncontrollable sexuality.
Dudes with his
primal,
dick out at the end of the movie.
Yes, it's about primal energy. I think one of the best gender swap stories with the Wolfman, going back to October recommendations of movies that you probably should have seen by now, Ginger Snaps, if you want to take a look at that one. Also,
Wolf Cop.
Not so much Wolf Cap, but Ginger Snaps is a really good experiment in the Wolfman mythos, turning it into a female narrative. But another really, really, really good Wolfman story is I want to say it's In the Company of Wolves. I want to think is the title of that one.
I just thought of something. Santa Claus is kind of a Wolfman movie.
How so? Explain.
Because, dude, transformation, bro.
But does he turn into Santa Claus?
Yeah.
When?
Tim Allen has to morph into Santa.
Going back to Tim Allen?
Yeah, because we're talking about Galaxy Quest right now. I mean, it has the transformation. It's about growth as a person, and because of that transformation and obtaining mystical powers. And you can only be killed by falling off a roof, and then when you put on the suit.
That's his silver bullet.
Yeah, and that's his fur suit. Yeah, I'm just saying. The Santa Claus is a take on the Wolfman movie.
You heard it here only.
Anyhow, the Galaxy Quest documentary, Never Surrender, pretty good if you do get a chance to watch it when it comes out on streaming or video, or if it hits theaters again. It's definitely worth watching if you like if you like movies or sci-fi or anything fun and interesting.
Yeah, it's really, or if you haven't seen Galaxy Quest, watch it first.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, definitely do that.
It's a great movie, despite what Vince in the comments seems to think about it. And Tim Allen being the worst choice, he was the best choice. He was the only choice.
Plus, we talked about fans being in movies not long ago. Tim Allen is like a sci-fi fan, and so that's something that it shows when you do a project like that, like when like we were talking about Channing Tatum wanting to be some comic book
in the Max,
things like that. And if you go back and watch the Fantastic Four movies that Fox did, Michael, whatever his name is, the dude from The Shield who played the Thing, he was really good at doing that because he was a fan of Fantastic Four comic books. So whenever you get someone that's a fan of the character in the story, in the role, it shines through. And Tim Allen did a very, very good job in Galaxy Quest.
Truth. You don't get to see that in theaters because it was a one-night only Fandango event, and you could probably check it out on VOD, wherever you like to spend your money. It'll probably be on one of those platforms. But with that said, maybe I should go... Should we do Jojo Rabbit next, or should we do Knives Out next? I mean, Jojo Rabbit's been out the longest, but Knives Out just came out. What do you want to do?
Go with the Knives Out, because we both watched JoJo.
Copy that. So I went and saw Knives Out this weekend. The new movie in theaters right now. If you've not seen any of these, if you've never seen a whodunit movie, then you're stupid. And I feel like I was in the theater with a lot of people that have never seen a whodunit movie in their lives, because they were like, that was the most original, interesting movie I've never seen. This is the most original, interesting, provoking. I've never thought of them that you could go to a theater and see a movie like this. What am I seeing? And it's Rian Johnson doing what Rian Johnson has done for most of Rian Johnson's career before he sold out and took the money from Disney and then made Last Jedi, and then everyone hated him again. But since he had enough money, no one's going to argue with him, and he wants to go back and remake the first movie that made him famous, which was Brick. But he did it with a bigger budget and bigger celebrities, and he did it again and just called it Knives Out. He's a good director. I mean, Looper, fantastic movie. Love that movie. Brick, if you've never seen Brick, watch Brick. It's Knives Out, but better. Brothers Bloom, again, a movie that I used to loan that DVD out. I loaned that DVD out so many times that I lost it twice and rebought it just so I could continue to loan it out again.
Orlando and who?
The Brothers Bloom? Orlando Bloom's not in it. The Incredible Hulk's in it. Mark Ruffalo's in it. So this dude, he's not made a lot of money, not a lot of money. He's made a ton of that. Not a lot of movies. 2005 was Brick. That was his big breakout role. He does really love character-driven mysteries. That's all sort of just character play, character study, and he loves just making really interesting people and taking them to the extents of their decision-making process as a character. And then Star Wars Last Jedi came along, and it's like, you have to conform to the Disney mold. And as Johnny Dalton said in the comments, not Brothers Grimm. That was the death nail for who was I literally just talking about?
Matt Damon.
Not Matt Damon. Terry Gilliam. That was Terry Gilliam was Brothers Grimm. To go into the comments here, Brothers Grimm was Terry Gilliam's last big movie that he made with a production house and the production studio. He had a vision that he wanted to do. He had a storyboarded out, had a script, had a screenplay, had everything that he had. He had his DP, his cinematographer, his gaffer. He had everybody that he wanted to do, and the production studio was like, no. We want to sell popcorn. We want to sell toys and T-shirts. Shut up, Terry Gilliam. We didn't get you for your creative genius. We just wanted you to make a movie. And so he's like, fine, fuck you. I'll just make this movie that you want to make. And it failed, and failed miserably. And then it also cost him future projects. But it wasn't really his fault. It was the studio's fault. But anyway. Going back to Rian Johnson, Looper got him on the map more so than Brothers Bloom. Brothers Bloom was a little bit of an indie thing, but Looper, people took note, and it got a theatrical run, and that got him enough attention from Disney, just like where we're going to go later in the show with Taika Waititi. So remember this, bookmark this part here. And So Disney picks up Ryan Johnson and says, hey, we really like what you're doing over here, kid. We want to give you some opportunities. You like money, right? We like money. Everybody likes money. So come over here. Come over to our office. You want a Diet Coke? You like Coke Zero? You like Pepsi? You want to serve to a naked 12-year-old? Here, we can do this. We have this power. Whatever you want. It's your heart's desire. We're Disney. And so Ryan's like, all this stuff. I'm a little confused about the 12-year-old, but okay, Disney. And then, the House of Mouse is like, hey, come on, Ryan. You can take a ride on my gold roller coaster to the moon. And then he's like, dude, Mickey, you make a really good argument. I like billions of dollars and all this creative control. Yeah, come on. We really want you to come make this movie for us. You heard of Star Wars? It's really a lot of fun. And then they're like, yeah, I grew up on Star Wars. Star Wars is great. I want to do practical effects. Yeah, you could do whatever you want. And so they sign him on, and they're like, guess what, you sucker? We own you now. And so they're like, all these cool ideas you had, well, fuck them. And so he had to make this movie that Disney wanted him to make, and he has to put on a big face because this is what they do. This is why NDA agreements exist. This is why teams of lawyers exist. It's because they hold you hostage to the creative process, so you can't talk about the things this is why children end up sucking producers' penises when they're 12 and not talking about it until they're 30.
What the
because
hell
they can't. Dude,
are you talking about?
Hollywood is crazy.
You're
and
getting into.
I'm getting into the real shit.
News
That's what I'm
from
getting into.
2 years ago.
Or 20 or now, depending on how you look at it. This is how this stuff works, you guys. It's the reason that Corey Haim blew his freaking head off with drugs, metaphorically speaking. These are Macaulay Culkin he's just now getting to the point of talking about all the crazy shit that he had to go through. Bill Cosby. Let's go there for a second. Like, this is the underbelly that's there within unchecked power. And Disney,
old stuff.
because Mickey's old and he's rich and he has unchecked power. And you think that shit's wholesome? You think Baby Yoda's not going to let me see through what's going on in the House of Mouse? Dude, I know there's some evil shit going on in the House of Mouse, and I'm going to uncover it.
They're going to knock on your door, and no one's ever going to see you again.
I know. It's going to be like Goofy in a friggin' black ski mask going, all right, gonna kill you. And then he's going to push me over a mountain. I'm going to go, and then I'm going to be dead. And
Goofy wouldn't do that.
He might.
They might send Pete.
Oh, dude, Pete would do it. He'd be like, ho, 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 come on, you little piece of, and shove me in a van. He'd shove me in the car from Roger Rabbit, and he'd be like, I'm really sorry about this. And he'd drive me over to Toontown and then murder me.
Yeah, it'd be like in True Lies, and you would be Bill Paxton.
Yeah, I'd be like, would a secret agent piss himself, man? And anyway, so my point is, Ryan Johnson fell into that trap. And so now he's got money, he made Knives Out. And Knives Out is an ensemble cast in a whodunit, classic cut and paste whodunit murder mystery that is to borrow a line from the Storyboarders Facebook, like watching dominoes fall perfectly in place. Which is not necessarily the hallmark of a good whodunit, but it is very satisfying. And I think that is a very good illustration of this movie. It's not a good whodunit because from the moment you start watching it, you know whodunit. Like, it's not a mystery at all. And they've got this big ensemble celebrity cast that's fun to watch, but it's kind of not utilized in the way that it should have been, a la movies like Brick or Brothers Bloom, where they're not relying on the celebrity to sell you the story. They're relying on really talented performers to make really talented performances to draw you into a story to get you to care about the ending. And this is like, oh, I like Jamie Lee Curtis. Oh, I like Daniel Craig. Oh, I like, what's his name? Captain America, I think. Oh, I like the guy that was in Miami Vice. Oh,
Don Johnson. What do you mean?
I know it's Don Johnson. I'm thinking of it from another perspective that's not my own, which is the audience. And, they're like, I know all these guys. Oh, that old guy, wasn't he in a lot of movies? Yeah, it's Christopher Plummer, and he's amazing. amazing. And they're relying on all this ensemble cast to sell this idea of a mystery that's not a mystery. Clue is more of a mystery than this movie is.
Clue's a good movie.
And Clue is a good movie, and it has 6 endings if you get the DVD.
Yeah, and they showed all of them in different theaters. So when you went and watched the movie, your
you never
friend,
know who's gonna.
Your friend that watched it at a different theater across town got a different ending than you.
That's movie making. That's why Clue's awesome. But Knives Out, not a bad movie. Let me just go ahead and say that. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It was a good experience. But here's where I stop and take a rewind. And I bring back Baby Yoda to the table.
Why?
Because Knives Out's not a terrible movie. It's fun. I enjoyed it. I got to sit there and watch it with a lot of people that were having a great time. And I went on this little ride, and I left the theater going, man, at least I didn't get to see a freaking superhero shooting lasers. God, what a refresher. But then I think about it, and I'm like, God, Rian Johnson, dude, Rian Johnson made Brick. Rian Johnson made Looper. Rian Johnson made Brothers Bloom. I know what he's capable of. I know what he can do. And back when I was really excited about Star Wars The Last Jedi after the 3 movies that I had become a fanboy when no one knew who he was, I was like, dude, this is a movie maker. This is a filmmaker. A guy with vision. A guy with passion. A guy that can make really cool things. Cannot wait to see what he does with Blank, because he has all of this in his arsenal. But this is what he delivered. It's like you go to a chef's house and you know that they can cook one of the most amazing meals you've ever had, but he's like, yo, it's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. And you're like, dude, I like DiGiorno, but I know you're a chef. Why didn't you cook me a meal that I know that you can cook? And he's like, but DiGiorno. And you're like, yes, I get it. It's not delivery. It's DiGiorno. And then the crust rises, and that's cool. But you know what that dude's doing. He's not giving you all of his creative potential, and that's disappointing. Because this guy now has unchecked authority-ish. And he has unchecked, but I feel like maybe the Disney formula has made him rely on these tools that they have given him, given him Milk Plus, strapped him into the thing, and prepared him for the ultraviolence. That's a movie reference. Google it. But I mean, that's what made me disappointed at Knives Out, is I felt like there was so much more that this movie could have been based on what I know this guy has made. And not to say Knives Out's not worth seeing. It is. But I was a little disappointed. And I don't want to talk too much about the particulars of the movie because it is a whodunit. And I don't want to give away any plot points. But they all reveal themselves with ridiculous obviousness.
Since Jamie Lee Curtis was in it, was it just Michael Myers?
It wasn't Michael Myers.
Oh.
Jamie Lee Curtis is barely in it. She's like, I smoke cigarettes and I'm cranky. And then that was her that was the entirety of her entire, like, the whole movie was her. You know me because I'm famous. And now I'm being angry. And then, yeah, I was like, come on, dude. I know all of these people are really talented. And it just kind of bummed me out. Because it was just chock full of potential that wasn't activated. I mean, again, Ana de Armas, like one of the best performances here, but she's, for the scale of the rest of the movie, she's more or less a nobody. And Michael Shannon, who is an amazing writer, director, and actor, was put into a bit piece of the cranky guy with the cane that you've seen before. And it's like, dude, that's Michael Shannon. Michael Shannon is just brimming with talent. Tony Colletti, brimming with talent. Christopher Plummer, brimming with talent. Like all these people that just talent coming out of their eye sockets, and they're like, nah.
Maybe this movie.
This movie was House of Long Shadows. That's what this movie was.
Will show that Don Johnson and Chris Evans should be in a Miami Vice movie.
Google House of Long Shadows. I just thought of it just right now. Just now, I was struck with review genius. And I guarantee you, no other review, no article on Huffington Post, no New York Times article, no fucking Variety article, none of these shitty movie review things that everybody thinks are so fucking valid are going to say it. But House of Long Shadows, check this movie out. It is a whodunit murder mystery starring the biggest 3 names in horror of the time. It was Christopher Lee who was in this movie. It was also a dude from Star Wars who was in. He was like the guy that built the Death Star. Help me out.
Oh, Tarkin, Grand Moff
Tarkin. What was his? What was his?
What was the
name?
real guy's name?
Yeah.
Oh crap. You got me, man. I don't know.
I got to think of his name before I can give you the rest of them.
Because I was trying to think of all of the...
Peter Cushing. I didn't...
There it is.
It didn't even finish load. I beat Google. So Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, and Vincent Price. You think these 3 dudes, the master of hammer horror, the master of B-movie horror, and then the master of A-list horror, all in the same freaking movie doing a whodunit murder mystery? You're like, this is going to be the best. And it's...
Oh, why wasn't Vincent Price ever in Star Wars to make it where all 3 of them were in Star Wars, though?
I know. Well, I think because he died. But here's the thing: is he
was alive in the 70s and 80s. He
but wasn't he like fat and eating frozen dinners or something at that point?
He was building Edward Scissorhands.
No. Well, my point is, in House of Long Shadows, which is a movie you probably never get to see because it's out of print. I had an old, I think it was a Chinese VCD that I bought off eBay back in like the 90s that I got to see this movie.
I watched a lot of movies that way.
Because I'm that guy. We're those guys. And this movie is really historically terrible, but getting to see those 3 people on screen is kind of amazing, but their performances were trash. And that's kind of why I felt about Knives Out. I was like, man, it's not terrible, but man, it could have been way better. Could have been way better. Anyway, Knives Out. It's in theaters this week. You can check it out. There you go. What? I got really passionate. I've been talking about very passionate things for the past 4.5 hours, so I'm really charged up right now.
Also, the booze.
There's only 1 shot of Henny in here. Yeah. I'm just that excited about the stuff that I'm talking about today because I'm on my Crusader mindset. But anyway, Vince says you can check it out on Daily Motion for free. Somebody has posted Daily Motion. I thought you only went in there to see like unrated clips of people getting kicked in the groin. Like Daily Motion's still a thing? Like what? Whoa. There you go. House of Long Shadows. Vince, check it out. You will hate me later. Yeah. Community Arts Corridor Trigger. Yeah. There it is. All right, so Knives Out. There it is. You can check it out. It's in theaters right now. We need to talk about another movie, and it's going to be
Jojo.
Jojo Rabbit. Jojo Rabbit, man. We're going to be talking about that right now. Jojo Rabbit is a new film by Taika Waititi, again, a person who has fell into the Disney machine, based off of a novel by Christine Lunens. She wrote a novel, I believe it was in 2009 called Caging Skies, and he adapted it for in a screenplay and made this movie relatively bootstrapped. It was filmed in the Czech Republic, one of these kind of passion projects that I'm going to say my 1-sentence review is I had a lot of respect for Taika Waititi as a filmmaker, as a writer, and as a comedian until Thor Ragnarok. Yeah. And then when Thor Ragnarok happened, I felt very much betrayed and very much let down and ashamed for Taika Waititi. And Jojo Rabbit redeemed every bit of that.
Yeah, it was a return to form for being like a What We Do in the Shadows type thing. I can't imagine this as a book because the movie opens up with Beatles mania playing over Nazi fanaticism, and it just syncs up.
And it works in
and
a
it
way.
Shows you how it was for some of these people, for the people of Germany, and how someone like Jojo can fall into being a Nazi youth, and the dangers and attractiveness that was to the people of Germany at the time, which is why I put on this stupid Star Wars T-shirt, because how many of you think the Empire is cool? The Empire is Nazis.
It's true. They
But
are.
that's a trap. You can they showed that this kid fell into,
Yeah, Trump's America.
and it was actually a kind of very accurate portrayal of Hitler's youth, the Nazi youth, and it's kind of terrifying and enlightening to see it put in such a like a bright light, like a fun.
It's very tongue in
atmosphere.
cheek.
But that's how it was for them, because it was the Scouts, it was camp, it was day camp, it was a club, and it was just fun for kids. But it was all
A form of brainwash. In
way
a way.
dark.
And I think the thing that, going back to the return to form of Taika Waititi, he is an incredibly smart and fun and interesting and funny writer. And, in 2019, and this is something I've said in a lot of my live shows and probably on here quite a bit, that comedy is in a very difficult time right now, because comedy is one of the few, it used to be a safe haven for people to explore ideas, to be able to bridge different grounds, to build those bridges with people with different opinions through absurdity and laughter, and go, we're going to say something that is totally inappropriate, right? That we're all going to kind of chuckle at. But while we're chuckling at it, because we're all laughing, and now that we're all doing something together, we can think about something in a way that needs to be thought about, and guys like Dave Chappelle were doing it really well. That's why he's famous now. Guys like, Rufus, come on, help me out. George Carlin was doing it. Robin Williams was doing it. Like all of these really late, great, amazing comedians, even Sam Kinison, who I'm not even a big fan of. These people were pushing boundaries, pushing envelopes, ruffling feathers, and doing so because they were bringing people together through humor, but also making people think about things. Like Seinfeld. Seinfeld even did a good job of it. And even Seinfeld now is like, he's afraid to take the stage. He's like, I can't say the same things that I used to say because people are not going to listen in the same way they used to be. Vince says Lenny Bruce. Lenny Bruce, another really good example of this. And, comedy, this film takes something that is absolutely taboo by everyone's standards, which is Nazi iconoclasm, Hitler. Like the opening scene of this movie is Beatles mania, Hitler fandom, and then this little tiny adorable Baby Yoda-esque child running through the streets going, Heil Hitler, Heil Hitler, Heil Hitler, Heil, 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 Heil Hitler.
And he has Hitler as his imaginary friend,
yes,
that he loves dearly.
And it's his best buddy, and they go on amazing adventures together. And Hitler, played by Taika Waititi, is just like, oh, come on, Heil me, come on, oh, what's up, dude, Heil Hitler, right? And they're doing something that's so absurd. And at first, you think that this movie is going to be just a dumb, hangover style comedy of Nazi jokes. And you're like, that's not cool. How is this going to sustain on its 2 feet? Because A, it's distasteful, and B, why would you make a joke about this? But that's where the brilliance of this movie comes in, is by the third act, this movie is no longer a comedy. This movie is very much an illustration of what the grip was just telling you about, is how easy it is to fall into the trap of fanaticism, blind faith, and not questioning your superiors and doing things that in your soul of souls that is wrong and goes against the very human nature of togetherness, and to find out what it means to be human and to be good and to be kind and to be yourself. And it takes this moment where you're laughing like almost uncontrollably about, I don't know, that line where he is talking to the Jewish girl in the attic about like them coming in the night and stealing the tips of penises from whatever.
Yeah, he's like, I know it's true.
I know it's true.
That part's a given. Yeah.
But going from laughing uncontrollably in the theater to that to almost crying
He
at a
says that
moment.
Rabbis use them as earplugs.
Yeah, they use them as earplug. We know this. Move on. But then, 5 minutes later, you're holding back tears from a moment that had been foreshadowed by very deliberate and great filmmaking that prepared you for a moment that you knew was coming before it came, but when it came, it hit you like a freight train of emotion.
Well,
and
with something like that too, the movie does a really good job of showing horrors and atrocities and terrors of war without actually putting them on screen.
Mm-hmm.
It alludes to them or shows the buildup or aftermath of those. The people for a free Germany being hung in the streets of Berlin for everyone to see, that if you oppose the party, that's what happens. The Jewish girl in hiding. People like Sam Rockwell's character, who
was in hiding himself.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But also he doesn't agree with things like the genocide, but he does believe in his country and still wants to fight for it, but he's not allowed to. Then you have people that fully buy into it, like Jojo or Rebel Wilson's character and things like that. So you get to see all of these different people, and it goes all the way from the height of the German war machine to the fall of Berlin and it under attack by Allied forces in the west and Russian forces in the east, and the fear that instilled in these people that were so proud and strong just not long before. And you get to see all of that in the expression of everybody in the war effort, from all of the normal citizens to high-ranking officers and things like that, and how they all have different viewpoints, and it's all done from the various German people's points of view, and that was really interesting way to do that.
Like Johnny Dalton says, he asks in the YouTube comments, he says, was there a downfall joke? By the time you got to that, the downfall was used as a counterpoint to all the jokes that they had already made that brought the seriousness and the realness of the situation to light. And, by the time you get to that point in the film, it's like the punchline has happened and we're letting that moment of truth sort of set in where you're thinking about it. It's like a good comedian does. It's like, all right, now that we've laughed, now that we've thought, I'm going to stand back and let this sink in a little bit so that maybe when you leave, you'll be a better person. And I thought it was just it was very well done and very well handled, and made me, again, like I said, forgive Taika Waititi for Thor Ragnarok, and then, just like welcome him back and just be like, man, you're still there. You haven't sold out completely. You went away to go make this thing that had no Disney involvement. It's a passion project that you believe in. Did it with a really great cast of people that also cared about it, and made something that I think that, while is not going to make any money at the box office, I think this movie is going to be remembered for a very long time.
Yeah, it was actually a good war movie.
It was an incredibly good war movie. Unlike, say, okay, here's another parallel example. A lot of people go, oh, comedy war movies like Stripes. Not even on the same level. Stripes is funny, sure, but does it make you think about war? Does it make you think about feelings? Does it make you think about casualties and the cost of war on both sides? One of the things that I think this movie did really interestingly is, it's really easy for people in the West or generations later to look back at Nazi Germany and go, they were all wrong. They're bad. Shoot them up, kill them up, burn them up. Anybody that sides with that is an idiot, fool. They're dumb.
Unfortunately, a lot of people did feel like that as soon as the war ended, and this movie did not quite stretch into that part where people were beaten and killed and hung in the street, and there was no prisoners, and it was.
But in a way, it did address it. It addressed it through the course of the movie by saying these people, not enough as it could have.
Almost.
But through the character of Jojo,
yeah,
you know, I mean, it made a very like, oh Jesus, we're all humans, and we're all capable of mistakes, and we're all capable of triumph, and we're all capable of learning and growing and being caught up with something, or being on the right side of an argument, or being on the wrong side of an argument, and that's what's important. And I thought that by the end of it, you know, he's a son, he has a mother, he has a family, he had a sister. Everyone has a family, everyone has a parent, everyone, you know, it's a commonality between all humans. And without beating you over the head with it, this movie kind of dips its toe in a very, very real thing, while also making an insane, absurd. You know, another thing that I said when I walked out of this movie, I said, this is the best Wes Anderson movie that Wes Anderson never made. Because it's so stylistically interesting and rigid, and still uses a similar cast that he's very familiar with, and it feels like a Wes Anderson movie that Wes Anderson movie just can't seem to ever make, because most of his movies don't have purpose, they just have style. And I mean, I couldn't have been more happy with this movie.
Yeah, no, I went to it just because it was there, and it was an alternative to Knives Out, and I went with a friend who had been wanting to watch it a long time, and I didn't necessarily have big interest in it. And then as soon as I watched it, I was like, yeah, this is really good. Like as soon as that Beatles mania hit, I'd never put those two things together before, and it was like, that's insane how that works. And then as soon as Sam Rockwell's character and Alfie Allen were on screen, I was like fully invested in the movie. And when you learn the origin of the name Jojo Rabbit, and the movie really sets itself on the pace that it's going to be at, I didn't see any of it coming, and it really took me by surprise, and it ended up being a very well thought out, well implemented production of a movie. And it worked very well. And I was fully invested and moved at times, and it worked. Everything about it was good, and it provided a unique perspective and commentary on historical events that you don't always get to see. So.
Going back to the comments, it says there's a big that is a big compliment, because I think you guys hated Thor as much as I did, and yes, Thor Ragnarok I thought was one of the worst things I'd ever witnessed, but most people were like, that's the best Marvel movie ever, and it was the most formulaic product of sampling and, you know, product testing and
Hulk dick.
Just built to not be able to fail, and it was, that movie had no passion whatsoever, and you know, they
waste of Jeff Goldblum
and Taika Waititi. You know, let's see. Johnny Dalton in YouTube comments also says he dug Eagle versus Shark. Yes, Eagle versus Shark was or Eagle and Shark was pretty good.
That wasn't a war movie.
No, it wasn't a war movie, but it was.
But it had another New Zealander in it.
New Zealand.
Yeah.
Aye.
What's his name from Flight of the Conchords?
Yeah, Flight of the Conchords, which Taika Waititi heavily involved in. All right, so it is about that time. We need to hit that box office roundup. I know we have been rambling on for a minute, so we're going to give you the top 10 movies in America. We're going to go start with number 10, move our way up to number 1, tell you what's making money and what's not, and then we'll do it again next week. Next week, I don't know what I'm going to go see next week. I'm probably going to go see Queen and Slim, because I didn't get a chance to see it this week, and because we obviously saw too many movies. What about you?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know of anything that's left that's out. Because you watched Knives Out, so and we caught up on JoJo, so I don't know. There's not anything until.
Did you see the trailer to the new movie Wendy from the director that did
I've seen
Into
it
the Wild
several times?
Southern Beast of the Southern Wilds, or whatever it was.
A new take on Peter Pan.
That
again.
Trailer was cool.
Yeah, but remember the last 2 times they've made Peter Pan movies?
They've all been trash.
The one with old Hugh Jackman
was trash.
Yeah.
But this trailer looks pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, Southern Wilds is a good movie.
Yeah, but this is like nothing like Peter Pan.
I think that's why it'll be good.
No. Hook is good.
I mean, Hook is good. Peter Pan. All right, number 10 movie in America, Joker, still out there. 9 weeks. 9 weeks. It's only out there for 9 weeks because it's still making money. But it brought in $1.9 million for Warner Brothers this week in its 9th week. $330 million domestically, way over the billion mark worldwide. This will probably be the last weekend that it's in theaters. So if you haven't seen it yet, this is the weekend, then it's going to be gone. Then you'll see it on all of your streaming devices. It'll be on Blu-ray and all that crap. And you won't hear the last of Joker because they're making a sequel. And if that makes money, they're going to make a sequel to that. And then they're going to make a Jokerverse. And it's going to be insane. And then we're going to hate Joker. And then we're going to be sitting up here on the show arguing about it and why it's stupid. And
I'll have to take the time to watch it first because I still have never done that.
Get ready. Number 9, Last Christmas from Universal Pictures, bringing in $2 million in its 4th week in release, bringing its total domestic gross up to $31.6 million. Number 8, Midway, still out there in 4 weeks from Lionsgate, bringing in $3.9 million, bringing in a total domestic gross of just over $50 million nationwide.
Another good war movie. That's one to watch.
What was that? 4 weeks ago, you could check out that podcast over on your Spotify or YouTube or Facebook or wherever you get your podcasts. You can check us out there and listen to our review of Midway. Number 7, Playing with Fire from Paramount, which I think the Grip has not had a chance to see despite his best efforts. It's just been sold out everywhere. He can't seem to get tickets. $4.2 million in its 4th week in release. $39.2 million there with Playing with Fire. I thought you were going to go see it this weekend. What happened?
You know what, though? Vince says they're making that other Downton Abbey movie. Maybe that's what we can start doing while there's no movies coming up for the holidays until 1917 comes out, which I definitely want to go see. I can just start getting caught up on Downton Abbey and do those reviews that everyone was wanting me to do.
We'll just do Evenings with Downton Abbey with the boom operator and the Grip.
So yesterday I watched an episode of TV from 8 years ago, and here's what I thought about it.
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
Stay tuned.
Yeah, I watched an episode of British TV from 8 years ago.
Oh, the BB. We're going to be reviewing, what's that show that used the boom, ching, boom, dome, bonk, ching, ching. It was about that department store in Britain. God, what was it? It was a BBC and the lady with the pink hair. I used to watch it. It was like called Check Please, or I don't know what it is. But it was that, and then The Young Ones. I used to watch that. But there was that other show. I'm sure it's going to pop up in the comments here in just a second. But old British TV, and then there was there was another one that I used to watch. It was called like Faulty Towers. Did you guys ever watch Faulty Towers? That was another BBC old comedy. Geez, guys!
I watched Bean.
Dude, did you ever watch Black Adder?
Yeah.
Dude, Black Adder was cool.
What was the name of the dude? He would come in. He's like, woof.
Are You Being Served is the name of that show. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but what's the guy that would always swing in? He was like the guy that everyone hated. And he would
on
come
Blackadder?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And he
his
was like
name.
Mr. Suave dude. And in the episodes where they were like back in the olden medieval times, he came in and like swap spit with the queen and like thrust his hips everywhere.
Hua, hua, hua.
Yeah. And there was like a World War I episode with him in it doing that too.
Well, number 6, 21 Bridges from STX, bringing in $5.5 million in its 2nd week in release, bringing it total up to $19.2 million. Number 5, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood from Sony, bringing $11.7 million in its 2nd week in release, so far bringing in $34.2 million. Number 4, opening up the number 4 spot, Queen and Slim from Universal, bringing in $11.8 million in its opening weekend. Had a soft early release because of the holiday, bringing its domestic weekend gross up to $16 million. Number 3, Ford versus Ferrari from 20th Century Fox. 3rd weekend out has brought in $13.1 million in the box office, so far bringing in a total of $81 million domestically. And then number 2, Knives Out, opening up at the number 2 spot from Lionsgate with a pretty impressive $26.7 million with the soft weekend holiday because Thanksgiving. gave us a lot of Wednesday openings, brought it up to $41 million at the box office. And the number one movie in America, of course, for the second week in a row is Frozen. Number two, bringing in another whopping, staggering, insane, holiday obvious weekend of $85.9 million, bringing its total domestic gross in 2 weekends almost to Joker. It has brought it up to $288 million in its domestic run. The opening worldwide was $742 million in 2 weeks, almost in the billion-dollar club in 2 weeks. This is why Disney only wants to make movies like this. They want to spend $200 million and make $1 billion in a week. That's what they want. That's why we're only getting this shit over and over and over, because they don't want to make these interesting, thought-provoking small films. They want to go, dude, what's better, $75 million after 8 months of work or $1 billion after 8 months of work? Am I right, you guys? And that's why we only get fucking Frozen all the time. So, yeah, geez Louises, Frozen. We're never going to let it go. We're going to get a Frozen 17 until we stop giving the machine money, is when we will stop. And also, before we wrap it up, you remember when the old boom operator was talking about, everyone's like, is Disney Plus the Netflix killer? And I said, I don't know, because Disney Plus doesn't have any content that's not nostalgia based. Now people are going, maybe Disney Plus isn't the Netflix killer because they don't have any content that's not nostalgia based.
There was like immediately that meme that went around being like, haven't heard any of you guys talk about Disney Plus. Must have run out of your 7-day free trial.
Exactly. So listen to the old boom operator, listen to the old grip. We'll be back next week. We will tell you about how it is, how it was, and how it always will be right here on the Drive-In Speakerbox. Be sure to check us out on Spotify, where you find your MP3 podcasts, or the live streams on Facebook.com, YouTube.com/the Drive-In Speakerbox. Thanks everybody in the chat that was tuning in. I'm the boom operator.
I'm the grip.
We'll see you next week.